It has been over 2.5 years now since the Hamas attacks on Israel, the terrorist group killing more than 1,000 civilians and kidnapping hundreds of others. One of those abducted was American-Israeli Hersh Goldberg Polin. Hersh was attending the Nova Music Festival on October 7th when he was taken by Hamas terrorists, held captive in Gaza, and later killed in captivity nearly a year later. Hersh's parents, Rachel and John, fought fiercely for his return during that time, calling on the United States and Israel to do whatever they could, not only to bring Hersh home safely, but also all the other hostages held by Hamas. Rachel's account of the time spent fighting for her son, as well as honoring his memory, is detailed in the new book released this week. It's titled When We See You Again. Hersh's father, John, wrote the book's afterword. And Rachel joins us now. Rachel, we're always so happy to see you. Always sorry it's on these terms. I was just talking to you about what it's been like, even in these first couple of days of going out and talking about this book, certainly the process of writing this book, to sort of relive it every time you sit down with someone. How are you processing this sort of all over again?
Well, the truth is that I've realized this is not a memoir, and it's not a tell-all, and it's not a he did this and she did that. What the essence of this book is, I realized, is it's actually a love letter that's wrapped in pain, or maybe it's a pain letter that's doused in love. And so it's been really fascinating to be able to share these packages of pain and have people understand why I have this very visceral, not normal response when people say, "How are you?" I realize now this is a very long-winded, here is how I am. This is how I am.
And it's given you this connection to people. Even this morning, some of our makeup artists who've come up to you. I was thinking about Stephen Colbert, who talks so eloquently about grief too, and his saying, it sounds crazy, but in a way, the death of his father and two brothers tragically was a gift. That's his term, not mine, because it connected him with all these other people and allowed him to talk about it. Do you feel differently about the grief today than maybe you did even a year ago because of the way it's allowed you to connect with people?
I think definitely the epiphany that I have had is grief always felt to me like something to be avoided. It sounds like a very scary word. I don't want it. Katie, bar the door, no. And all of a sudden, what I realized is that grief is really a badge of love. We don't grieve for people that we didn't love.
Yes.
And so the price of love is grief. And also what I learned is that love keeps growing after our person, whoever that person is, after they leave, after they're dead. That does not stop the love. The love keeps growing. So there's this wildly amazing relationship that we still have because the love is still there. And that's a price that I am willing to pay. It doesn't mean I like it. I hate that Hersh isn't here. But if the price for the love is the grief, I will pay that. It's a privilege to pay that.
So well said. The book, you write about this from the moment you learned that Hersh had been kidnapped and the 330 excruciating days. But you write something that really struck me in the book. The 330 days were the good part because you knew at least that he was alive. Can you explain that a little bit, how you were feeling?
Well, we had this unusual compartment. I think of it as like, a Tupperware container of this purgatory-esque intermission of twistedness where Hersh was stolen on October 7th. And as you said, we had this arduous, crunchy, terrible odyssey down this rabbit hole of trying desperately to save him and the other hostages for these 330 days. And it was utter torture, torment, misery, angst. Anyone imagine your child, your partner, your sibling, your grandparent, your granddaughter. I mean, we had 251 hostages. Everyone was fighting as hard as they could, knowing they were in horrific conditions, having complete cutoff from them. And that was torture. And also watching John be tortured in that way, and him watching me be tortured, and we suffered horrifically. And then we were told he was executed. After all of that, and I had this terrible realization, oh my gosh, that was the good part. Because we had the hope and the drive to save him. And now I'm in this other place. You know, part of me is no longer in this world. When someone buries a child or anyone who is core to your existence, you know, I'm not unique. There are millions of us right now. There are millions of people watching who have buried children. That's not unique. But I happen to have an unusual circumstance right before that. And digesting that loss and trying to figure out, how do I unpack those 330 days that I shoved into suitcases and kind of buckled really tight so that I could function and run to try to save him.
John, you and I spoke, you'll recall, to Rachel in the morning after her speech in Chicago at the Democratic National Convention. You came up at the United Center, and you could hear a pin drop during the speech, and during our interview, we were just so incredibly moved by Rachel's strength, as we are again this morning.
Yeah, we certainly are. Of course, our thoughts with you and your family. So you say the book is the answer to the question, how are you doing now? But obviously, you know, in the last few days, you're here, you're talking about it again. Your more time has passed. Do you feel that it is helpful for you? And what would you want to say to others who are going through not exactly the same experience, of course, but have also suffered that profound loss? What is a lesson or two they could learn?
Well, I think actually it is such a uniter. Grief and loss and mourning and suffering is actually a uniter. It is part of this human enterprise. We are all going to go through it. It is what happens in this world. And I think that what sometimes people aren't aware of is that it is with each and every one of us every single second. We don't need Memorial Day. We don't need the anniversary of the date upon which our loved one parted. It is always right here. It is right here every single second. And what I'm hopeful is maybe people will be more sensitive to the reality that they don't see the knife sticking out of someone's heart or chest, but it's there. It is actually there, which is why I think there's this dissonance sometimes between people who are mourning or in pain or loss and other well-meaning people who are saying, how are you doing? And our thought is, how do you think I'm doing? Do you not see this dagger?
Yeah. I was just going to say that, the question answers itself. How do you think I'm doing? I'm wondering, though, Rachel, moms love to brag on their sons. We're going to continue talking about grief. But I want you to brag on Hirsch. Tell us, for people that never got to know him, tell us what they would love about him the most, what set him apart, and what, in the midst of all of this darkness, still, when you think about Hirsch, what brings a smile to your face when you're alone in your thoughts?
Well, I try very hard not to lionize or mythologize Hirsch. I think that is the temptation whenever someone we really love, especially someone young, dies tragically. We have this need to sort of, everyone's a hero. I actually really believe that Hirsch was the perfect son for me, but Hirsch was certainly not perfect. I will say that a few of the values that he had and traits that he had that I think about, and John and I think about a lot. First of all, Hirsch was a radical listener, which you must really appreciate, especially in the current climate that we live in. It's so unusual to have someone who is truly profoundly curious and wants to hear what someone who has a completely diametrically opposed worldview to them has to say. And that was really something that Hirsch had. And I'm trying very hard to, hone in and sort of sculpt that part of me that I don't think is where his abilities were at. I would love to, in his short 23 years, he had somehow, I think you just are born maybe with it, because how did he get that? I don't know, and I'm working on that. And a tiny little thing that he always did, when you say, what brings a smile to your face, I'll tell you two things. One thing is he always carried my bag. Always. It didn't matter how small it was. If it was this teeny tiny bag with just tissues and Band-Aids, he always carried it. And I thought, that's like, maybe it's his love language, or maybe I'm projecting it onto him because I want it to be his love language, or maybe he just liked carrying a handbag. I really don't know. And the other thing that I will say, because recently it struck me, I was somewhere, I'm not going to name names and who did this, but Hirsch always put the toilet seat down. And we did not teach him that. He just did it. Although John does that too, so maybe it's just like he was modeling what he knew. But I thought, good for him, good for him.
So maybe he deserves lionizing after all.
I may have to rethink that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to, everybody wants the glib, neat, easy answer. They want a bow tied on things like this, where you can tell them, hey, here I am and I'm stronger than ever. We're stronger in the broken places. Just doesn't work that way. You wrote something in your book, though, that I think is really moving, and is something that others that are going through the hell that you have been going through can grab a hold to in this book. And you say that even in the darkest moments, even in the most bleakest times, a form of light still persisted, and you focused on that form of light. Talk about that form of light and how you use that to help others that are going through the hell that you've gone through and that you continue to go through.
Well, I would love to think that I'm helping others. I honestly don't know. I will tell you that I don't think we get better. And I think people don't want to hear that. And I think that that's actually helpful to say, you know what? When you put a piece of yourself in the ground, or however you send off this person who's very integral to the core of who you are and your identity, I don't think you get better. I think you can get stronger, you can get different, you can learn to carry this grief and this pain in a different way that maybe is more graceful and elegant and noble, but I don't think it goes away. And I actually think the language of, are you getting better? It's been a year, it's been 2 years, is a real true form of toxic positivity, which I think is emotionally barbaric. And even gaslighting, which, is a triggering term. But I recently learned that the opposite of toxic positivity when it comes to mourning, I love this, is tragic optimism. And that's what I am. I'm an optimist, but I'm a tragic optimist. And I will be until I'm put in the ground. And I'm actually fine with that. It's okay. And I also am able to see that even with this pain and loss and suffering and grief, I am blessed. I have two vivacious, dynamic, talented, so funny daughters. I have an amazing partner in John. I have people who love me and care about me. And I was blessed with this delicious cookie for 23 years. And I will take it. And if that means that the price is the pain, I will pay that price again and again.
Beautifully said. Rachel, we've been just so struck from the beginning of this by your strength and your eloquence, always in your grief. And it's throughout this book. It's called When We See You Again. It's available now. Rachel Goldberg Poland, you are helping people. We've seen it already this morning. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
And we continue to think about you and keep you in our prayers.
Thank you.